Okay, let's talk some more about the second coming, which is at the very core and center of our New Testament, of the teaching of Jesus, of course. And the second coming is the visible, future, single arrival of Jesus in power and great glory. Every eye will see him. In the first chapter of Acts, we'll find quite clearly, explicitly, the fact that as they saw him go visibly in the clouds, so they will see him come back. So the idea of an invisible second coming is about as flat a contradiction of the New Testament as you can imagine. I'm somewhat puzzled then, and I want to try to correct this to help our friends of the Bible Students Movement and the Jehovah's Witnesses, some 4 million, some say 10 million of them, I don't know exactly how many, who get up in the morning believing that Jesus came back, if you're a Bible student, in 1870 or so, or if you're a Jehovah's Witness today, that he came back in 1918. This is not doing you any good. You don't want to put cyanide in your coffee. You don't want to believe things which are self-evidently false. No, it's not that hard. Jesus, when he comes back at his single parousia, meaning second coming, not second invisible presence. The first mistake is to say that parousia means an invisible presence. That's just wrong. Yes, Paul would arrive, and that could be his parousia, and Titus could arrive. Human beings have their arrivals too. But Jesus also has his arrival, which is spectacular and visible and will occur after the great tribulation in the future. So that's most important. Many commentaries do not like the political kingdom element, which is so prominent in the teaching of Jesus, and so they try to get rid of it by saying things like Jesus undoubtedly divests Jewish eschatology of its political and literal character. That's from the Theological Dictionary of the New Testament, the article on parousia, page 867. Let me read that again. Jesus, they say, however, undoubtedly divests Jewish eschatology, things of the future, of its political and literal character. That is absolutely false. Jesus did nothing of the sort. In Acts 1:6, the disciples asked, after a 6-week seminar on the kingdom, in Acts 1:6, his chosen students, his disciples, said, "Is it now time for you to restore the kingdom to Israel?" That was a marvelous question. It was the right question. They expected the kingdom to be restored to Israel politically at that time, and that will happen in the future. In addition, the covenant which Jesus made, the Jesuanic covenant, you might say, in Luke 22, he said, "You who have followed me, I covenant to give you the kingdom, and you will sit on thrones to administer the 12 tribes." Paul said in 1 Corinthians 6:2, don't you know the saints are going to manage the world? The Bible is simply full of the fact the saints of all the ages are going to be the political rulers in the future, not now, when Christ comes back at his single visible parousia in the future. We don't know when. Jesus did give us signs of when that will happen, like the abomination of desolation, standing where he ought not to, a masculine pronoun there in Mark 13:14. And after that, then heavenly signs, cosmic disturbances, and then the Messiah will arrive. When he does, he will give the kingdom to the disciples, to the faithful Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, the prophets, the faithful of Old Testament times who were Christians, so to speak, before the time of Christ, and to all the faithful saints who will then rule with the Messiah. They'll have power and authority over the nations, as is said in Revelation 2:26 and 27, and many other places. Let me finish with this. The 7th chapter of Daniel is massively central to the whole Christian program, the 7th chapter of Daniel. There are no less than 28 allusions or citations of that chapter in the New Testament, many of them in Revelation. This is the heart and the core of the gospel of the kingdom. And it ends in 7:27 there, that Carlos has on the screen for us. Then, that's to say, when the court convenes and the Antichrist, the final beast, the final little horn of chapter 7 and chapter 8, the final beast of Revelation 13, the man of sin of 2 Thessalonians 2, that evil person will be dethroned, will be put out of commission. And then in 27 of the 7th chapter of Daniel, we'll have it there on the screen, then the kingdom, authority, and the greatness of the kingdom under all the heaven, not in heaven, but on the earth, of course, under all of heaven, will be delivered to the people of the saints of the Most High. That should read the saints, really, the saints of the Most High. Their kingdom, the correct translation is, their kingdom is an eternal kingdom, and all authorities will serve and obey them and Jesus. In the RSV, you'll get the right pronouns there. It's not exactly the right translation, but it's near enough. RSV is better. Will serve and obey them. This is no small deal. Jesus, with God as his Father, is selecting people now, testing them, trying them now through much tribulation, of course, many difficulties, kind of Navy SEAL training, in order that when Christ comes back, he will appoint them then to rule the world, and there will be peace, as we say in Georgia, like you ain't seen nothing yet. Enormous peace will spread across the earth. The devil will have been bound, and the saints of all the ages will rule with Messiah upon the earth renewed.